Good afternoon from Rouses Point, New York. What's going on here? And we're at the Knights of Columbus in Rouses Point. The picture you see is a picture that's been painted hanging here in the main room of the Consul 2366. It shows Columbus leaving Spain and being wished a lot of luck and prayers as he heads out to one of his ships to come and found United States, the New World, 500 years ago, 1492. Columbus sailed the ocean blue. I'm talking here with some of the prominent members of the Knights of Columbus, and I don't know. We'll start right over here to our right because I know he is the Grand Knight, Dick Letourneau. And how long have you been Grand Knight?
The end of May end of June will be 3 years.
Your present Grand Knight.
That's correct.
Okay. I don't know who. Were you Grand Knight at one time too?
Yes, I was.
They're all Grand Knight. What year is Leo Letourneau?
I was just looking at that. I think it's 56 to 58. I'm not sure.
Okay.
And I'm presently the Deputy Grand Knight.
You're Deputy Grand Knight now. That means you're going to step up?
I've been recycled. In other words, that's right. In other words, I was Deputy Grand Knight, before, and then I was a recorder, Chancellor, Deputy Grand Knight, and then I was a Chancellor, and now I find myself again recycled as a Deputy Grand Knight.
Okay, you both have something in common besides that, and besides your name being Letourneau, back in 1922. Do you remember what that is? You know what that is I'm thinking of?
I can't imagine what it is.
Your dads were both charter members here.
That's right.
Arson and
George
Letourneau back in 1922 when this council was formed. And to my left, another Grand Knight, Herman Joubert.
I was Grand Knight from 1968 to 70, and I'm presently the treasurer of the council.
All right. And, of course, the man on our left, were you Grand Knight also, obviously?
Oh, yes. I was 4 terms.
4 terms?
3 years when I rebuilt the KC home, and then I went back in, I think it was in 75 or something like that.
When you say you built the KC home, you mean this
here when
building
it was
here?
built. That's right.
You were Grand Knight at that time?
That's right.
Where did you move from, Stanley?
We moved from it's the old post office building on Main Street. It burnt. It belonged to the laundries, and we had the second and third floor for the KC. The third floor was used for meeting and our suppers, and the second floor was used for our activities, such as we had shuffleboard, pool room, and stuff like that.
For those who don't know or are watching this from other communities, he's talking about the corner right next to the park, right where the hardware store is now. Correct? Mm-hmm. And how long were you there? Is that where the only place?
We were there. The Knights of Columbus started as a Columbus club. I'll go back a little bit. A lot of the KCs from the 7 railroads that coming into Rouses Point were KC members, and they were laid over here, and they didn't have much to do. So they decided to start a KC club, a Columbus club, which was started back in I got it here somewhere, 1920 to be exact. And then they elected their officers. I can give you the names, but some of the members were Pearly Rock was the president. The vice president was I'm trying right off the look here.
And these are people that people would know out there.
That's
sure,
right.
We're glad to get names down. It's part of a history of the Knights of Columbus.
Let's see here. Pearly Rock was president. Also, he was trustee of the village. Is that correct, Leo? Wasn't he Pearly?
Yeah.
Yeah. And George Rivers Sr. was vice president. Albert Carey was secretary and treasurer. And in the following in 1921, they decided it was unhandy because you had to be a KC to belong to Columbus Club. So what they did in 1921, they got 105 members, and they went over a chartered train over to St. Albans, and they took their degree. And then in 1922, they got their charter, and we've been over the post office place ever since.
You came here.
Until we
what
came
year?
here, and here in November 8, 1953.
53. So you've been here nearly 40 years also.
Yeah.
Now, over to the right of the flag on the wall is the original charter, right. Of the Knights of Columbus with the, how many names?
105.
105 names listed there, and they were also listed in this nice little pamphlet that was a part of the celebration here this past Saturday night. That was on the 25th, right? 25th. The 70th anniversary, and it's got all kinds of information in here, including all the charter members. And there's one charter member still living.
And it's Albert Carrier. He's in Maryland with his son, Dr. carrier, and he's 98 years old.
And also for you people out there who wonder, yes, he is the person for whom the Albert Carrier Apartments were named, right?
That's right.
As an honor to him. And did I hear you say that one time that they were thinking of calling those the Leo Laterno Apartments?
They sure were.
What happened, Leo, on that? God, you're into everything there is around here. Excuse me.
Oh, I felt it should go to Mr. Carrier, no question.
That's very nice. Your time will come. Your turn will come, Leo. All right. And over on the wall, just to the right of that, is another picture with a plaque of the people who served in World War II.
Right.
There's 10 or 12 people there that are listed, and that are KC members, that is.
Right.
Not everybody in the village. All right. Who can give me a little bit of, you all volunteer here, for the Knights of Columbus was formed, I understand, over 100 years ago.
Correct. At St. Mary's Church in Connecticut. And the reason it was formed for, because a lot of the breadwinners, the fathers, were dying and they had no insurance. So Father McGivney got together and they formed with the other men of the parish, and they formed the Knights of Columbus as a benefit insurance organization. Because see, way back, we had to have insurance when you joined the order. Today, you don't have to. But you have insurance agents that you come and take it out. And in fact, I think we have over $10 billion worth of insurance right now.
Okay, and our president man is from Chateauguay, right? The man who is...
No, the one we have now is Mr. Peacock from Plattsburgh. We used to have him, but they consolidated the districts, made him bigger, and Mr. Dwyer is now just takes care of Champlain.
Oh, he don't come to Rouses.
No, he doesn't come to Rouses
all
anymore.
right.
Bob Peacock comes here.
All right. We know Mr. Dwyer. You've seen his ad on Hometown Cable, and he's still around there. And, of course, back, Leo, if you recall, also back in those early years, when did you become a member?
I don't know, 50 years ago.
50 years ago?
I don't remember.
Do you remember the tombolas?
Absolutely.
Who remembers the tombolas? Dick, do you remember the tombola? All right. Tell us about what was this
Mr.
tombola?
Starwell was the Grand Knight during that particular time, and then I believe Harrison followed him, my father-in-law Harrison Obrey, and they raised buco dollars with the tombola. They used to set up a big tent back here, because this was an empty lot.
On this property right here?
Right here, yeah. And this is where the tombolas were set up with the big tent in the back. And they raised considerable amount of money, and then we still had the rooms over there, over the post office building. But it drew many big crowds constantly from all over the place.
Yeah, I don't remember ever coming to one, but I do recall hearing that Eleanor Coonan, the postmaster from Champlain, won the car one year, right? A Pontiac car.
Yeah, that's right. And what was her name? The Bayshard. Remember, she passed right out. She thought that they had called her name, and she passed right out.
See, they made $18,000 they had in the bank when I took over as Grand Knight. But it wasn't exactly 18 because they were spending it left and right. And that's when we decided we better do something. See, this lot here was purchased in 1930, and May 28, 1930, for $1,875 from Albert Carrier. And so we've had the lot quite a while. We've been doing nothing. So we decided that we stop spending the money and build up a building, which we did. There was a lot of things going on at the time. They wanted the building down on Lake Street there, but there's no parking area. So finally, we decided to build our own building. And at one time here, we had over 300 some odd members. And well, that's when the night came in. It was about 125 that belonged to Champlain. And right after we built the building and everything, Champlain decided that they wanted their own consul. And they were wonderful workers. But we survived, and we got the building paid for.
Now, well, you weren't in the building yet, though, when they withdrew, went over to their own consul, because they've been there for 40 years, which would be 1952.
Yeah.
I'm a charter member in the consul in Champlain.
Right.
That I got in at that particular time.
Well, they didn't leave exactly right off. Just before we got the building started, they left.
That was a big blow with losing 100 some odd members, and we had the members from Moores and Shazy and so forth, and then Moores formed a consul, and those some of our members went. Ellenberg, so they've all come, and they're all very active.
Right, and we survived, and your charter was held up for a while because we were scared, and I got a call from Tom Fitzgerald, the state deputy at the time, and he was going to hold it up, and I said, no. I said, we got wonderful workers, but I think we can try it, we can get by without. The only thing he worried about, if we'd fold up and start one over there, that's what they didn't want.
Yes,
But
yes.
we survived, we had some good workers here, and they have wonderful workers too, so we made it go.
Yeah, we had a very big nucleus here of your workers, you know, right here.
Right.
Coopies, I don't want to name them all, the Chamberlains, Favreau, right? And all these people were very, very active. Claude Lavoie, they came over. And these are the kind of people that are in the Knights of Columbus. You see here 4 grand knights here. And these are people I see every day, right? And we have a list. You'll see them over on the wall, different people. We're going to show you some pictures. And then when this program is over, it's going to take a little over an hour with this kind of a presentation, if I can cut it short to an hour. So we're going to show you the pictures that Calvin took of the celebration of the 70th anniversary of the Knights of Columbus. We'll take a short break and be right back. We're in the beautiful rooms of the Knights of Columbus. What's the name of the street I'm on? Liberty, and it's right behind the Catholic Church here. They got a view. If you looked out one of those windows, you can see the lake, and you can see these smiling people here. There's something going on downstairs today. What's downstairs?
Rummage sale. The Catholic Daughters having a rummage sale.
Do they use the rooms too?
Yes, they do.
Okay, they meet up here in these rooms? Or?
Yes. Since 1925, the Catholic Daughters have been sharing the rooms with the KCs.
Okay, we'll get our minds together and come right back. Thanks for watching Hometown Cable every day, and Calvin Castine, as usual, behind that camera every day. He's taking these and giving you 3 hours a day, of new programming 5 times a day, and don't forget, stay tuned. There's so many things we could talk about this console that it's a little difficult. We have nothing planned, so it's difficult. We want to keep it in some kind of a systematic order so you can follow us. And we did mention tombola, and many of you young people that weren't here at that time will not know what we're talking about at all. So let's get some kind of a definition or explanation of what this tombola was, Stanley.
Well, it was an Indian name, and it really was like a fair. I mean, you had all sort of games, and raffle was the main attraction. And we had all kinds. It was like a little carnival. That's really what it was.
All right.
But, Bill Nautel's the one decided we should do something, because back in 1944 we had savings bonds raffling, and in 6 months we made $2,200. So they thought, well, great.
Yeah.
Maybe get some more money. We can build a building or buy our own place. So Bill Nautel took it upon himself, because he had known Monsignor Funke, who was the state. He was a state. Chaplain for many years, and also head of the chaplain for the Northern Conference. So Bill got to him, because every year he used to have a tombola up there for the Indians, and it was quite a thing. Of course, they had beer tents and so on and so forth, and of course they had to open a certain time, and the troopers were there to make sure everything was on the up and up. So Bill got the great idea and talked with Monsignor. He gave him all the ideas and everything. So we started a tombola. And the first year, we made $7,000.
What year was that?
Well,
45?
Well, it started in 45, but we had in 47 and 48, and I don't know if we had some before that or not, but I know I
think they ran 3 years.
3 years, okay.
Because this was just after the war,
That's
and
right.
people wanted to have fun, and people were coming home from the service, and they had some money and so forth.
So in 1948, they made $7,000. Then they decided Leo Landry was in on this, and then he thought he would take over and would Euclid Gordon of Plattsburgh. So they had a joint affair, and they made in, approximately $8,144. And they split that, so we each got $4,000, a little over $4,000 each.
Part went to Plattsburgh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We made, in fact, we made $7,000 before the frat year by ourselves.
Now, this being a Catholic organization and a Catholic people here, you had to have bingo along the way somewhere, right?
Well,
you had bingo? Did you play bingo?
Well, yeah, that's another story.
Oh, it is?
What happened was Stanley's father, Norman, started the bingo here, Donald Carpenter and myself, and I can't remember if it was John Rowe or...
John, I think it was John.
But we worked every week. You started, I think it was $3 they paid a game. You paid $1 to come in. The prize was $1 a game, and of course, it wasn't kosher. It wasn't legal at that particular time. But it was a source of revenue for us, and people loved bingo. And so this is how originally the bingo started here in Rouses Point. It never stopped. In other words, after that, they went to the church basement, and of course, the licensing come up and everything else, and it proves a good source of revenue.
Because you were doing this illegal thing, they penalized you and made you a judge later, I understand. Is that right?
No, I was a judge at the time.
I think at that time, a lot of those games and chants and so forth were overlooked for nonprofit religious organizations.
Agreed.
You know,
That's
I think that was
exactly
just but then they made it a little more legal with you need licenses and so forth later on. So your dad was very active in
He was
here
very
also.
active.
Extremely active,
Served as
yeah.
trustee and very active, especially working for the council.
Uh-huh.
You never missed a Friday night if you could help it, I'll tell you.
How often do you have meetings, or did you have meetings back then?
Yes, we have 2 a month. We still do the same. We have the first meeting is first one is the business meeting, and the second one is our supper nights. And that was a great thing we had here too during my regime, this grand night. We started these monthly suppers again. We used to have them in the old KC building once in a while. We didn't have them every month. And Mr. Saborin used to make clam chowder, and different ones would come in, the old timers, and we'd have a treat every once in a while. But then when we got over here, we decided we'd have to draw the attraction to get the members to come. And when we first started, it was just the members only. Of course, now we have it for their wives as well. But way back then, we had the members were very active. And we had our monthly dinners, and we appointed a lecturer who was in charge, and each one was a chairman and co-chairman, and every month it worked out good. And we kept it only for, I believe it was 10 months, and then during the summer, we didn't only had our regular meeting.
Now, Bill Nautel's been a cook.
Oh,
he was also the chowder and the stews, right, over the years also?
Oh, yes, Bill was fantastic. We owe a lot to Bill Nautel.
Yes, I worked with Bill in customs for probably 20 years before he retired, 18 anyway, before he retired, and he's still one of our old gentlemen, still retired from customs. Still, haven't seen him lately, but he's still is he still active in the club?
No,
Not
he's
really,
not
huh?
active. No, well, of course he's getting along in age. He's got poor eyesight right now, and
Okay, and what about the older members when you were on the second and third floor? Did they have trouble getting up in that building?
some of them did.
That's
yes.
one of the reasons for
One of the
building and
reasons
getting
we
your own
wanted to
building?
get out because a lot of the older members couldn't climb. It's a winding stair, and he knows
Well,
about it.
Andy Malinsky,
Oh,
he had an awful
Yeah.
hard time getting up, but he got there. You know, he's a very good member and a very active member.
Okay.
And
We were. Go ahead.
that's
excuse
good.
me.
No, the thing is, too, we participated a lot in the Northern Conference, and I remember myself, and I'm sure when Stanley was Grand Knight, we would go to a conference with 12, 15, 18 people.
Right.
And with 3 carloads, and then of course, as not necessarily the membership changed, but the officers of the membership, you know, they had different ideas about the conference, and you know, you got to the point where there were only 2 or 3 people going, but we were extremely active
Very
way back
active.
then. We were the pride of the whole Northern Conference. We'd go to Augsburg, we'd go to Malone,
Right.
and you were interested. You were part of that Knights of Columbus, which I think sort of went the other way later on. You know, it wasn't that activity wasn't that great.
I served as leader and then became chairman of Northern Conference, and I was a delegate to the Supreme Convention in 1968, and we were very active.
Now, you were active like parents, so to speak, because how many consuls formed that originally were here? Champlain, Moores, Ellenberg. Now, someone mentioned off camera before Canada.
Well, yeah, well, what happened, we had quite a few members from Lacole, and of course, again, it was illegal, according to the Supreme Consul, if they had consuls their own. And they formed one in Lacole, but what we did, they took a post office box here, and we had about 35, 40, 50
all
at
of
one
that.
time.
They
All
had
of that.
rooms and everything.
So they had a post office box here. We got away with it a long, long time, and finally, well,
We had problems.
we had little problems,
Yeah.
and a lot of them went back over to Lacole. And,
Yeah.
but-
So that from those, you got those 3 big consuls still
Right.
here, very active, you know, and all doing great.
And-
And you're doing very great, and you got beautiful rooms. Now, I think you also mentioned off camera that these doors that I see didn't go into that room previously. That there was just this one main
That's right.
building.
We didn't have a kitchen, and we didn't have a bar.
Okay.
So we went to, like, for example, we went to Dannemora to look at their new rooms, and they had their kitchen up on the same floor as the council room.
right.
And we didn't particularly care for that. And of course, Victor West was very instrumental in being a contractor and guiding us in how we went. And again, Bill Nautel was very influential in wanting a new kitchen, so on and so forth. So consequently, this is how the bar and the kitchen came about.
That was during the regime. The bar
Okay,
was built. With,
now, the basement is also full-size down
Oh, yes.
below, right?
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
got that extra space. So when did this bar and extra addition go up?
during the time of John Podesta, when he was Grand Knight. Yeah,
That don't help. 60?
60.
Or we could look
63. We'll see that when we get over there. All right. So it's progressed even more, and it's very active. And are the doors open during the day? Or I shouldn't say that. They are open. They got to have a key. But
Have a
do
key.
members come here regularly during the
Yeah, they
day
come to
and
play shuffleboard, pool.
play shuffleboard? If you want to play some pinochle or something like that?
Right.
All right. And then right now, as we said, there's a sale going on downstairs.
Rummage sale, yeah.
And all the eating is downstairs. That's why
right.
all the
For
food.
the
Do you have
dining. Where you
dinners
would-
for the public during the?
Well, what we have, our monthly suppers now, we have them for the public, and you bring your wives. I said before, we first started them way back, we just had the Knights of Columbus members. Then they branched out to their wives, and now to fill the place up, to sell the tickets, we have to invite the local people, anybody who wants to come.
Right.
And-
But yeah, like I recall over here, Dick Letourneau also. We're going to talk to him later about the dinners we had there when they came back from the Gulf last year. You had a celebration here for the parents of all of the people who had someone at the Gulf. You know. Okay, we'll take another break and we'll come back. We want to show you some of the pictures. Oh, and before we do that, tell us about these. First of all, the
Over here, this bust there of Columbus was given to us by Francis Duffy. Apparently his father had that for a number of years, and he wanted to know if we wanted it. So I said, certainly we would like to have it. And the shelf was built, and then he's been up there ever since.
okay.
And as you look over here, you'll see the plaque, the bronze plaque for our first Grand Knight, Thomas Saborn. And you can see there.
He can pick it up there. Yes, remember.
Yeah.
This plaque is dedicated to the loving memory of Thomas Saborn, the first Grand Knight of Council 2366 from 1922 to 1923. And then the picture just on the other side of the door here, the exit is because of the Catholic daughters, right? And then there's more pictures of priests who've been here.
Given memory of, I think, Mike Hartney. Isn't that what that is over there? Let's take a look. I think this is this here.
Oh, that's that painting you mean like, or that?
No, this.
Okay.
What do we call it?
Talk a little louder because I got the mic way back here.
In loving memory of Michael Hartney, her husband, Michael Hartney, Mrs. Hartney.
Okay. This charter here is the Catholic daughters.
That's not one of our local priests.
All right.
That's the founder of our
The
order.
founder of the order in 1882.
And that's a Deputy Grand Knight stand. And of course, it's Columbus over the top.
All right. We'll take a short break and we'll come back. We're looking at some of the past Grand Knights. Our pictures are all up here. And then we'll see some of the pictures that they had out because of their celebration for this past Saturday, the 25th. Thanks for watching Hometown Cable. Okay, we've come over. We're going to look at some pictures and show you some things that have been going on. But before we do, I want to clarify a statement that we made when you said that some of the dinners are open to the public. And that is true. However, it must be by an invited guest to be open to the public. So you must come as a guest, just for clarification. You just can't walk in off the street. And now, I'm talking with Herman Joubert. And Herman, you and Arsene Letourneau got together and put most of this together. Now, what do we have here?
Well, we have some pictures from our files showing the breaking of the ground for our present home and the dedication. We believe the breaking of the ground was in the spring of 1953, and the dedication of our home was on November 8, 1953.
Okay, here's where the dedication up on the can you hold that corner up for me right there? This is where the dedication, and then here are the people dedicated, and there's our Father DeRozier from Champlain, and Reverend Trois here, and some more pictures here of some of the, what do we have here? We have Norman Moore, Roland Como, Fred Duprat, Grand Knight, and Stanley Moore, who was the district deputy of the KOC.
This picture right here is the burning of the mortgage.
Ah, yes, yes.
here.
You had a mortgage. I think you owed over $6,000 originally here,
That
it says
is
on this
right.
thing here.
That is right.
Cost of $14,000. I guess you started with 14. The building cost $21,000.
Right.
All right, here's some more pictures. Final arrangement set for the Knight's Pilgrimage. So what is about this pilgrimage? Every year you have this?
Yes, this is over at St. Anne's in Vermont. This year, Rouses Point is supposed to be the chairman, have the chairmanship for going over there on Sunday during July.
Okay, they come up, the various consuls all get
Various
together,
consuls
like
in
in
this
a
area.
procession, right?
Correct.
We drive over.
Years ago, they used to go over in a procession, but I guess the state doesn't want the Knights to do this anymore because of accidents.
Okay, here we see a new Grand Knight. District Deputy Herman Jubert presents the jewel to Grand Knight Joseph Dumoulin during installation ceremonies at the border village. Arthur Lawrence, also Robert Gatto, District Warden, who assisted Jubert.
We have a picture here showing in 1970, Rouses Point Knights of Columbus, we had a special dinner for the firemen and their wives. And Frank Hoyd was the chief at that time. And one of the remarks made by the chief that evening, he said it was the first time that any organization ever recognized the fire department. So we were honored to do
Absolutely. And here is this young Herman Jubert right here. Look at here with Mr. Moore and
Albert Carrier.
Albert Carrier, who is still living, the only charter member left since 1922. Here's a picture, of course, of the church as we knew it previous to the addition in the front. And when you talk about the church in these pictures here, you got to remember they've had some big funerals here. A lot of priests, while serving in Rouses Point, have had the misfortune, very big misfortune, to pass away. And just some of them, for instance, go ahead, Herman, they aren't in chronological order.
Monsignor Clary.
1968. And you said, tell us about that. You wanted to be carried. You said, tell us that.
It was one of the wishes of Monsignor to be carried from the funeral home to the church. And it took 16 members, we were all KC members that carried him. And it was on one of the hottest days during that summer.
It was in June, right? Yeah. And then Amy Trois died unexpectedly, was pastor. I guess he wasn't here at the time. He was pastor, died. Yeah, I guess he was pastor.
He was.
That's the second. Now, this was Monsignor Clary's early. And then
Father Charlin.
Father Charlin, who had been here, also passed away while he was here as pastor.
Monsignor Arquette was pastor here. Monsignor Farmer. And, of course, Father Albert
Giroux, just recently. Died in January 21st, 1991, of Monsignor Farmer, October 21st, 1979, and Robert Arquette, January 8th, 1969, and apparently that it's a bad time around January. All right, and Night of the Year, we have a picture of Adolphus Willett, just above there, as we go up and down the pictures. And here are some prominent people. Can you point some of these out to me at the top? I guess they don't have all the names up in the top picture. The third picture down, second picture down here is past night, Stanley Moore on the right, Walter Kellenberg, the bishop in the middle, and with Reverend Trois on my left. And here's John Zerlo, kissing the bishop's ring in that third picture down. And then, do you identify some of these people here in this picture right here, Herman?
No.
Here, they're down here.
There's Norman
Moore here. Leo Landry. Can you get this? All right, Calvin, are we? Stanley Moore. I don't know.
They're from other consuls.
Okay. And then Lester Coopy over here.
Yeah.
Okay, Lester Coopy over in the end from Champlain.
Yeah. We have with us now, Bob, my co-chairman for our 7th anniversary, our San Laterno.
Another Laterno, huh?
Another
we know who his dad is.
A future Grand Knight for our council.
I can see. If he takes after his dad and all the other Letourneau, he certainly will. Arson Letourneau, also what are you? Are you the treasurer of the village?
Yes, a village.
You've been
Financial secretary of the council.
All right, but in the village, you're the treasurer.
Yes.
And you get on that channel quite often there, don't you? Yeah, you read off those bills.
A couple times a month.
Couple times a month. All right. And how long have you been at KC?
6 years. 6 years this year.
You really believe in working very hard, very quickly.
Yes.
You are already the financial secretary. Yeah, you said, right?
Yep, been finance secretary for the last 4 years.
And part of this big celebration, you worked with Herman on all of this. I heard your dad gave you credit for that too on the piece we're going to see when this is over. As Calvin did the actual dinner, and your dad gave you credit for that, right? And he didn't do the
Herman,
and Herman, yeah, but we don't ever forget Herman. Herman, what is your title now, Herman? In the case, you're a deputy.
I'm a secretary.
You're secretary now. Oh, well, you're the two workers. All right. Treasurer of this, all right, and then treasurer of the village. These pictures here, this is taken in the old Rouses Point School gymnasium. You'll see the track they used to have and the balcony around. That's taken facing Maple Street. And here's some of the members, and I'm looking across very quickly. I just see a few. Here's Bill Nautel that we talked about. It was the cook, and then Mr. Badger. This is Francis Dumas, Armand Cardin still living. I think this is Bob Perry. Don't recognize this gentleman. Leo Landry. I guess that was Father Trois here. Don't recognize that next gentleman. And did you say this was brothers?
No, that's Donald Carpenter.
Donald Carpenter,
And,
Mel Montpelier, and Joe Bailey that are here in this picture. This picture was taken at the same time in 1946. Was taken in St. Mary's Auditorium in Champlain, where they had the dinner. I guess they must have had a banquet in the middle of the summer. It was April. I think it was April.
No longer brick wall.
No longer brick wall. What did they do with that, Calvin? Did they?
Well, I don't know if that's brick or a big cinder block.
I guess it's cinder block. Yeah, it looks like big bricks, but it was a cinder block. Yeah.
Probably painted over.
I think we did paint. And here's another picture taken in front of the rectory with some fourth-degree members. And I don't recognize many people in here at all, except the bishop in the middle. Must have been here for confirmation or a funeral. Then here's First Communion on the bottom, so I assume it's First Communion there. And that's also inside of St. Patrick's. Beg your pardon?
Hold it. Okay.
Okay, and we're looking at a few of your programs here. One of you gentlemen can tell us, Herman, this is 1953. I guess that's dedication of the building.
Dedication
November 8th.
of our council home.
Yes. And the St. Patrick's Centennial?
Centennial book for St. Patrick's Church.
Mhm. And then this next picture, Herman said, was taken in front of the City Hall in Plattsburgh, right?
It's all fourth-degree members. I don't have the year for it.
And we don't know any names,
No.
but there it is. If we look closely, you can see Mr. Rabideau, the mayor, right in the back there someplace. To be. It must be his shadow. All right, the trophies here, what is this? Parades? First place floats?
Yeah.
You had a very famous float. Will you remember when you had that kit that they had with the KFC that they used to go to all the parades? Were you in there, Arson? You weren't here then. You remember that, Herman?
I don't remember the name of that.
You had, and you must have used that same float for about 5 or 6 different
yes.
parades, and
Yeah,
you would
yeah,
take
that's
first
very
place
nice.
with that. It was very, very nice.
Yeah, that's very nice.
Right, while we're at it in this area, I think someone should point out some of these grand nights. I don't know what the reflections.
Can I just interject on that?
Yes. Okay, we're looking at the past grand nights showcase here, right, in a prominent place in the middle of the KFC building. We've shut off some of the lights. Please forgive any reflections you have, and we're back with Stanley Moore. Tell us about this, Stanley.
Well, a long time ago, we used to go to different consuls, and we'd see all the past grand nights displayed. And one day, we got the bright idea, we should have one here. Well, I got the project, and to find all these pictures, it was quite a chore. Straight through, Mr.
Yes,
Saborn.
you don't have to give the years, but starting with Mr. Saborn on the left.
Right, and was dead quite a while. And all through there, this one here, if you'll notice, it was...
Well, let me just read these off.
All right.
You know, right now, can you know who they are? Thomas
Tom.
Brennan's the second.
Yeah.
And then John Saverin, Albert Bombard, Mr. Casey, Bill Roster Casey, Charles Rushlow, Joseph Fortier, William Roberts with the glasses here.
Brothers.
I'm sorry. Well, I can't see it either at all. Brothers, okay.
And Frederick Foy.
Foy. Eugene Kucher.
Yeah.
Francis Plant. That's Arsen's mother. That's his grandfather, yeah. And Leo Landry we talked about. He was in 38 to 40. On the second row, we have
Stanley Monette.
Still living, and he's a 60-year member.
Mr. Grattan, James Grattan. John Curley.
Gauvin.
Alvin Gauvin.
Harrison Olbrey. Alex Lamountain. John Galvin.
Jay Startwell.
Yep.
And Armin Favreau.
Now, Armin, that was in 49 to 51. Immediately after that, when they formed the council, and he was one of our first Grand Knights. I think it was our second Grand Knight over in Champlain. Then Mr. Moore himself, Stanley, we're talking with, 2 different times. And George McNally, who was your jeweler in town.
Right.
Taxi driver, too? Did he have a taxi? Where was his jewelry store, Stanley?
Well, he had it one time right near where the old North Countryman was, in the corner. It was a barber shop. Then before that, he had a little jewelry store there. Then he had one across the street where what's tore down now, right next to the drugstore. There was an old building there, and he moved over there and had a bigger store.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then we have our Leo Letourneau. Of course, we talked to him earlier in 56 to 58, and he's still smiling like that today. And John Podesta, who we've lost. Louis Dupois, that's Freddie's
Freddie Dupois, yeah.
Father, right? That's Freddie. All right. Gustav Weatherhand, Charles Frazier, still living here. He died recently. Walter Conley Jr., living in Plattsburgh, I understand. Harley Pettis, Ed Masner, then Herman, we were talking with here in 68 to 70. John Starella. Joseph Dumoulin here for how many years as a KOC? 30, 40 years, and we lost him the last several years. Larry Stark, also gone. Robert Gadu, the postmaster. I'm sorry, I say Lawrence Strack. I don't know what I said. Robert Gadu, who is the Royal Mail Carrier in Moores right now, lives here in Rouses Point. Rial Bedard. Robert Lake. Louis Diorio, and Lester Mackey, the present.
Right. And
no, I'm sorry. Next to the last. The present one is Dick Letourneau. He'll go up there next. Yes. Is there anything about any of those people that we should have mentioned as we went along here that you'd like to, that would give you any recollection?
Mr. Saborn was the first Grand Knight.
Yes.
And all the top roll, they're all deceased. And on the second roll, there's just 3 of us left. I think there's 3. Yeah, Stanley, myself, and Leo.
And Leo, the 3 of you.
And then down there we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5 that are still living, and then these.
Well, there was one there, Mr.
Dario has passed away here. What a great tribute to all those people that lost a lot of work. It's easy to put a picture up once you find it.
That's right. It took about 2 years, and if you notice this one up here, it was taken near a chicken coop.
Yes.
And Mr. Saborn's, we had to find a picture. It was taken in a book way back when he was Grand Knight. And most all these, and like Lamountain, I had hang of a job, and Mr. Galvin. It took 2 years to get the pictures, and but it was worth the effort.
Now you're starting a new trend, getting color.
Well,
hey, we got a colored picture here now. See, you'll have to all get your pictures taken in color. All you living.
Butterball's going to be transparent.
He's going. All right, all right. We're looking here at some more pictures, and this I think is particularly interesting. And I'll try to hold this here, and I don't know if you can point these out to me because many of these people are still in the area. Can you help me here? Way on the left, and the top is.
Here is.
Watch yourself. You're hiding the camera.
All right, get on my
knees. The camera's in your back, Stanley.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right.
All right. This one over here looks like Bill Nautel.
Bill Nautel. Leo Landry.
Mr. Marr.
Dan Marr.
Monsignor Bro. And this was Alec Lamountain. Harrison Olbrey. Tom Saborin. And Mr. Kucher, Eugene.
All right.
There's Noe LaFountain.
From Champlain.
Yeah. And there was
Leopold Remillard,
Right.
Champlain,
Paul Lavoie,
Champlain, John Zerlo Sr.,
and that's
Leo Filio.
no,
Not Leo.
the former judge.
What?
Romeo?
Romeo.
Yeah, that's Romeo.
And that obviously was taken before they formed their own council in 1952. But pictures here in the council. And some more pictures here. These are the originals here that we saw pictures of before, taken in the school and in St. Mary's. This is Joseph Dumoulin here, and the other gentleman, someone told me before, but I don't remember. Bergeron. And over here, Jimmy Dumoulin getting an award. Mr. Ash.
Ken Goyo.
And that's Art Mandigo, Harold Ashline, and Walter Conley Sr.
Conley Sr. Again, as we go down the way, here's Joseph Dumoulin, Bob Gadu, Bedard, Rial. Don't recognize. Now these are taken from the paper. A young group named the Columbian Squires. Young people here in Rouses Point. Great memories. And this is your, Herman, this is your 50th
anniversary in 72.
You were here. I see you were on the mic. Were you MC or were you Grand Knight?
I was district deputy.
You were district deputy. All right. This was taken here in the rooms.
And we had for our guest speaker that night, our state deputy at the time, James Roof, originally from Buffalo.
Uh-huh. And we know that Father Charlin was here at the time, and Jimmy Dumoulin behind right next to you. And Jean, your wife, right next to you. Was Jimmy an officer then?
He was Grand Knight.
He was Grand Knight then. All right, nice party then, and now does it seem 20 years ago, Herman?
Well, it doesn't seem 20 years, but someone made the remark they noticed a little difference in the color of my hair in 20 years.
Well, but you're like me, the barber puts that gray in, and when it really gets gray, they'll never know the difference. Some more pictures taken at that 50th anniversary here. The unfortunate part is that we both celebrate our anniversaries together the same night. This past time you celebrated your 70th, Champlain was celebrating their 40th in the same night. And people that want to attend both just can't. It was the same night.
Joe Storella was our MC for our 50th anniversary.
Okay. Who was your MC this time? You said Arson was the... All right, and Arson, you come over here a second. You said someone said you're a 4th degree member now?
Yes.
Right now, that's... do you have meetings with the 4th degree members in Plattsburgh? You have meetings regularly?
No, I belong to the assembly, the Pope John, the 23rd Assembly in Moores.
In Moores, okay.
Moores.
And that's mostly for ceremonies and things like that you get together and dress as a 4th degree member?
If you're a member of the color guard.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, what if you're not? You attend in...
You would still can attend the meetings and stuff like that, but it's... The color guard's the one where you see where everybody's got the plums and the feathers and everything in their hats and the swords and the capes and everything.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're working your way up the ladder in the KOC, and that's what they need is a lot of workers. They like these young workers. You know how many people you have in the council now?
We have 105 members.
105 members, and they're active members, or pretty well. You have maybe half that are really active.
In any organization, usually you have about 20 to 25% that are really active, and then with our council we have probably another 25% that are either honorary or honorary life members.
Right. So we get that active Grand Knight over here, father and son together. I always think this is great when they have father and son breakfasts. You wonder who brings who here. Who pays for the lunch when they have a father and son? Do you pay for both?
I don't think I've been to a father and son.
You haven't been to a father and son? Look at that. Hey.
No, we haven't had one.
Hey, we get left behind with these guys. Look how what makes these young guys get tall like this all of a sudden, Dick?
Good living.
Good living. All right. You're very proud to have your son in this organization with you, right? And you're a very active member here. I understand bingo's going very, very well.
Yes.
And you have other money-raising activities. Yes. You have a turkey night, a turkey social once a year. That's
in November, yeah.
Very well attended.
Usually run by Bob Gatto. I believe last year it was Bill Lombard, and Herman Jubert was chief honcho last year.
Okay. What night is your bingo here in Rouses?
Fridays.
Friday nights. What time? Tell them out there. How much?
7:30.
7:30, and bring money, right? Bring money, and
your basement of the church all renovated, new floor, and
yeah,
no smoking.
Okay. You're not smokers anyway, either one of you two, right?
No.
Yeah, we're good ball players. You ever play ball like your dad did? You never cared for ball. You're a computer whiz like me. All right. All right. All right. Anything else? Dick, join in here with us and tell us now. This here was very well represented last year when you had your for the Gulf members, right? The heroes that came back.
Yeah,
What brought this about?
Well, really, it was Harry L. and Benny Arnold decided to put a dinner on for the returnees and all the people in Desert Storm when it was over. So we had a dinner here downstairs, very well attended. It went over extremely well, and they gave away hats and souvenirs to the people, and everyone was very satisfied with it.
This is from 77 you're holding up.
This is 77? I beg your pardon. This is Memorial Day. This is 77. That's not the one we had for last week. For the, I beg your pardon. I just assumed that it was when it saw the heroes, but it wasn't. What was the one in 77 for? Memorial Day and Chairman Bob Gatto, a bit of the past. It was just a regular. There's your float that you had in the parade. All right. Well, we talked about one. You saw the pictures of the others. Either that or looking at Dick and I, and you'd rather look at the pictures. Dick, didn't they also in this, when you had the dinner for the Desert Storm people, they gave flags up and down the streets in the village and so forth, right? All the merchants were very much in tune with that.
Stanley Moore was could tell you more about that.
All right, then Stanley, come over here too. You're also Stanley. You're in everything, it seems.
That goes along with the village.
Yes.
We donated flags and flagpoles to the merchants.
Who donated? The KC?
No,
the village.
The village of Rouses Point.
Okay. Were you a village?
The flags. The flags.
Oh, you were a trustee then. All right.
I'm still trustee.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but then what we're talking about then. Oh, I see you on TV. Sure.
No, but the flags were given by the
Woodman of the
Woodman of the
Well,
World.
now there we go.
And
the Woodman.
the flagpoles we bought, the village did, and some put them in the store, went out behind the windows, and those that wanted flagpoles, we gave it to them. So we had flags all through. Then there was another, with all the names, that was done by the KCs, by Harry L. and who was worked with Harry at the time? Ben Arnold. They put it in front of the village office with all the listing of all the members, and served in Desert Storm.
Okay. Yeah. Who, while we're here, I don't know what else we're going to be covering of the. Oh, yes, we have this. Our Lady above here. What is?
That's This Lady of Fatima. That was given to me by a friend of mine, well, my wife's uncle in Kenmore Council. They used to send the statue around to each member one day through all the members down in Kenmore. So we got the same idea here. I brought the statue here. We had over in LaCole and all through the members, Moores, Rouses Point, Champlain, who belonged to the council. And we did that for a couple of years.
Okay. Yeah. Who are the honorary? Who are the firemen in this community here? Yourself?
What?
Are you a fireman locally?
Former fireman.
And Leo, come here a minute. Leo, just come here. I want to get you a minute here.
I was master of the New York 4th degree.
Oh, tell me what that is. Okay.
Well,
okay. Well, just a second.
You take care of Leo first, though.
Okay. Let me get back. I want to just take a break for not a break in the camera. Just take it 2 minutes to mention somebody who was a fireman for 54 years in this community, an honored member of your council. And that's Frank Hogue, right? He wasn't a member?
No.
I saw his picture in here, one of these.
No.
You were honoring the fireman. I beg your pardon. Okay, well, while we're here, let's honor Frank Hogue a little bit. Now, Frank Hogue, 54 years. You served many years of those with him, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And you honored him back in 70, right, Herman? Correct. 22 years ago. Tell us a little bit about Frank Hogue and what you know about him when you worked with him.
Well, Frank was our chief, for a number of years, and he was our company president, and he was also our treasurer. He was very frugal. Every nickel was accounted for, and very few of them went without his knowledge, and he hung on to the money. So that it was good to have an individual like that, where, a lot of people would propose spending money, but Frank would hang on to that so that it would benefited us in many, many ways. And of course, as you well know, we've contributed well over $300,000 to the village coffers during our 4th of July celebration. And the last 2 years, of course, we haven't done it. The American Legion has taken it over. But Frank was a dedicated fireman, 100%. He was a firefighter, fire person, and really and truly a magnificent warrior, so to speak, as a fire person.
Okay. I apologize for saying he was a member of the KCs. He obviously wasn't. But because they respected, they had a picture here, I think we at least in passing. You can't let a person like that, and all the firemen, Leo, all the firemen and the rescue squad, I don't like to miss any opportunity to thank you guys. And thank you for coming over to our Legion building in Champlain and helping save that a couple weeks ago, you know. And thank you for all your time in the firemen, too. All right, we'll be right back. Stanley Moore's going to tell us about a 4th degree master over here. Tell us about that. We'll take a break and be right back. Well, the gentleman just came in here and he's going away, so we latched down to him for a minute. And this is Monsignor Pendergast, the pastor at
St. Patrick's.
St. Patrick's, and also the chaplain of the council.
Right.
Have you been chaplain in other councils
Yes,
before?
in Ogdensburg.
All
I was
right.
chaplain of the council there.
And does that mean that when you leave there, you had to resign when you came here?
Oh, no, you just automatically lose your job, and usually the new pastor, new priest comes in, and the council usually asks for the priest that they want. So,
Okay. You know, when I first, and I still hear it, of course, the Knights of Columbus is the right hand of the church, right?
Right.
They say they do a lot of, they help you out a lot here.
They do,
Monsignor?
very much so. They've really been a great help to us financially in helping us to get the hall all redone downstairs. They donated a great deal of money to help put in the new tile floors and with the painting of it, and they make a donation to us every month.
How long have you been here now?
Just a year.
1 year. You've done a lot in a year. Your project is all done in the church?
No, it's not. No.
What's to be done?
Well, we just found out that we have to tear up all the walks again and do them all over again. During the winter, they heaved and so forth, and we have to put retaining walls in and new sidewalks and new drainage system and so forth. We're having a big problem with the water.
Well, let me tell you a few things here. I'm not one to mince words, but it's very practical with your elevator. And I went in recently when we were looking through, but some people don't like the looks of it in the front of the church. Do you hear that?
Yes, I hear that.
And it's honest to say that then, right? But I don't know what else you could have done except that, unless they put it on the side some way. But it's working out well.
Yes, they like it. The inside is very nice. It can be used for a number of things.
Yes.
And we have a number of handicapped people who are coming to church now. They every month they come down from the Cedars Nursing Home, 2 or 3 of them, and then we have young Mark Lombard, who usually comes down every Sunday in his wheelchair.
It makes you a great entrance to your basement now too, right?
Yes, it does. We have a handicap ramp there.
Very, very well.
Right into the
Okay.
basement.
You know, they always say that one of the things that the church lacks is parking. I've heard that, and I'm not here to complain. I'm going off on a tangent here, but is anything being done about the parking? Do you
Well, they use the back here and so forth, and maybe in time we'll
Okay. How many years as a priest, Monsignor?
38 next month.
38.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at the pictures down here at the end, you have to be very careful when you're in Rouses Point and you're Monsignor. You realize that?
Yes.
Don't overwork, you know. What you should do is come to Champlain and let Father Susi cook your meals and do all that for you.
Well, he does.
He does that. Yeah, I know you do. You guys are out an awful lot. Well, you're a young-looking 38 years in the priesthood, Monsignor. And thank you very much for talking to us. Anything you'd like to add here about the KFCs? I assume you were here, and we're going to see you later at the celebration. That'll be shown after this is over.
Well, I've enjoyed working with the Knights of Columbus, and they, as I say, have been very helpful to me. And we're going to get some more things going and so forth, and try to make it a little bit more attractive to some of the men in the parish, and hope we can increase our membership. And
it's your closest neighbor, nearly, isn't it? Huh?
right.
They're right in the backyard. Have you ever been in a parish where it's any closer to the church than this?
No.
Not
No.
really. Huh? They're right in the backyard.
Yeah.
They use your parking area, I take it, here, and people walk here into the church. Thank you very much, and wherever you're going, have a good trip and a safe
thank
trip.
you. Just going to Constable for a North Country Catholic meeting.
Constable, who's in Constable? What priest is there?
Father
now?
Drew, Father Gary Drew.
Okay.
I'm on the North Country Catholic Board.
But Father Blow was there, but he's in Messina now, right?
Messina.
All right. Thank you very much for
Okay.
talking with us.
Thank you.
Monsignor Pendergast, the pastor at St. Patrick's. Well, as I said before, I was so anxious to talk about Frank Hogue because he did so much for the village, and I'd seen this picture, and I just assumed he was KC, and I should know better. There's this picture there, and I do know because I took some video for Oral Parson of the funeral, and he was an elder in the Presbyterian Church, and I I took pictures of the fire truck all the way to the Presbyterian Church, so obviously he could not have been a KC. But apologies to anybody who thinks they need it. All right, now, we're talking here, there are 3, 6, 7 people who have been former district deputies. What's a district deputy, Stanley?
All right, a district deputy is one who is in charge of so many consuls. It varies. Sometimes I had 8 consuls I was in charge of for each district. And you have 8 consuls, 5 consuls, and it's you report back to the state deputy. You're in charge of these consuls, and you check out things for the degrees and so forth, and you're liaison with the state deputy.
Okay, so that's not only a difficult, it's a very honored job to have too, right?
Right.
And some of them that we had in the past was the first Grand Knight here, Thomas Sabrin, 38 to 40. Leo Landry, a former Grand Knight in 1940 to 46. Stanley Moore from 58 to 61. Gus Weatherhand from 66 to 68, also as a Grand Knight here. Herman Jubert, 71 and 72, a former Grand Knight. Walter Connolly Jr., 81 to 82, and was chairman of the board 82 to 83. What's that mean? Chairman of the board of district deputies?
Right.
What a nice honor of that. And Lester Mackey, 1989 to 1991, who was just a past Grand Knight here. So is this pretty normal? The person who gets it is going to be a former Grand Knight?
Yes.
More than anything else, right?
Yes,
and not all former Grand Knights become a district deputy, though.
You have to wait your turn sometime. If it's probably Plattsburgh has a crack at it, then Rouses Point, or at that time.
All right.
It varies.
Okay.
And you serve a length of time, but you try to alternate with the consuls.
So there's one for the 7 or 8 consuls, and not one from each. All right. Now, there's something you were mentioning. Which consul? Give me the names of the consuls that belong in this district that you're talking about.
Okay. Rouses Point, Moores, Ellingburg, and Champlain belong to one district deputy.
Okay.
And I believe that's, he was here the other night, I can't think of his name offhand.
Okay.
But now Plattsburgh complies of Plattsburgh, Morrisonville, well, I think now it goes up far as Saranac Lake.
Okay. So now it's dropped from the 7 or 8 down to 4.
Around 4.
Okay, so now it's down
But
into
when I
4.
first went in, we had to go as far as Ty, Port Henry, all through there, Saranac Lake, and
Entails a lot of traveling?
oh yes.
Oh, yes. So any function, you have to be there,
That's right,
You're there.
right.
Now, what were you going to show me something about a 4th?
Well, I was master of the New York 8th District 4th degree, which comprised St. Ides Jocks, which comprised of, at that time, New York and New Jersey. And your master acts as a, Grand Knight or some of that sort. You're in charge of so many areas, like a district deputy, I should say. And you put on all the degrees. In other words, when you're master, you have so many assemblies, and what you do, you put the degree on yourself. In other words, you pay for it yourself. You assess so much of the candidates, and if you don't make enough money, it comes out of your pocket.
All right. Okay.
And this is your 4th, and it's quite an organization.
Very good.
You have the honor guards, and you have the same as mentioned before, Darson mentioned.
And you're the only one that's ever been from this council?
This council, that's right.
Okay. Well, congratulations there. Very good. Now, as we go down here, we'll look and get Arson over here again, and there's something else on the wall here, and as you probably know from watching our program, we don't rehearse these. We don't always know what we're going to say next, but we're going to talk about a Star Consul Award. What does that mean to us?
Star Council Award. Well, I haven't brushed up my notes in a while, but basically that means 3 things. That the council has committed to increasing their insurance quota, meeting their insurance quota, meeting their membership quota, and putting on 4. There's 4 divisions for the KCs in order to win this award. You have to put on 4 council awards, 4 church activities, 4 community activities, and 4, somebody else help me out here? Family and youth activities.
All right. Now, they won this in 79 and 80, and it looks like it's the only one up here.
It is.
And that was during the time of Riel Bedard was the Grand Knight. And does this mean it's very difficult to get? I would think as active as you people are, there's only
It's
the one.
difficult, but it's also, in order to win it, you have to have somebody that is really into doing a lot of paperwork.
Okay.
Because every time you have an event, you want to have a chairperson send in and write up a little special purpose of what the program was for and how many people attended that, and then what you have to do is send it down to the Supreme Council.
Okay.
And it takes a lot of time for a program director to fill out all this paperwork in order to win it.
So
Plus,
any-
to our council, we haven't had a program director for a while until this year.
Okay. So if any officer of another council came in here, or a district deputy or someone like that, and saw this, they say, very prestigious
we're on our
award,
toes.
right?
We're on our toes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You're on your toes, and you're hard workers,
Yeah.
and you do a lot of paperwork. too.
Right.
Right. The hard thing to do of it, right? All right. And the Woodman of the World. Well, let's look at this right here, Calvin. Presented to the Knights of Columbus, Council 2366, in grateful appreciation by the Woodman of the World, Lodge 462, May the 10th, 1980. Herman Jubert's time, I think, when he was Grand Knight then. No, it's the same time as here. I beg your pardon, the same time as this. Why was that given? You remember, were you involved in that, Calvin? Showing that award?
Well, like a lot of service organizations, the Knights are very generous with their facilities, and the Woodmen met here for a great number of years. And the Woodmen stations for the lodge officers are set up almost exactly with different names as the stations that you see in here for the Knights of Columbus.
All right.
So we were very appreciative of their cooperation, but that's what you expect from the Knights of Columbus.
Okay.
That was probably one of our community activities back in 1980.
Okay. All right. Very good. The Woodmen are great for doing that. We got one more thing. Who's going to tell us this? The President Grand Knight or the Grand Knight's son or the financial secretary? Same one. Okay.
Okay, we'll start off with the anniversary certificate. This was presented to the Grand Knight from the District Deputy, William Irwin. And what this says is that the Knights of Columbus Anniversary Certificate to the Rouses Point Council 2366 in grateful recognition of 70 years of service to our order's principles of charity, unity, fraternity, and patriotism on behalf of the Holy Mother Church and our countrymen and fellowmen. And it's signed by Virgil Deschamps, who is the Supreme Knight. And it's dated April 2nd, 1992.
Very nice. And of course, the Reverend Michael J. McGivney, 1852-1890, is the founder of the Knights of Columbus.
That's correct. This was a special award that was given to councils last year that made I believe it was membership quota. And out of the 4 districts, Ross Point, Champlain, Moores, and Ellenburg, we were the only ones to win this award.
Terrific. Yep. Very nice. All right, and we'll get back over here and talk to our Knight of Columbus Grand Knight for a second. I'll pull this chair right over here. Stay right there, Dick. We'll just sit right here. Tell me what you've got planned in the foreseeable future. We've seen your past. We know you've been here for 70 years. We've seen your very latest things you've done. Anything that you have planned for the next year? Well, you're here till when? June?
The end of June, that's going to be the next Grand Knight's problem.
Are you likely to be reelected?
No.
No? That means you're going to resign? All right. What is anything that you know of going to happen in the next year? Any plans?
No.
Nothing
all
definite?
I can tell you has happened probably in the past 3 years. I don't know what's going to happen next
All right.
year.
What's happened? Name some of the things that happened since you've been Grand Knight, that you've been instrumental in.
Well, I don't know if it's, me. First of
Well,
all,
you-
when you run anything at all, if you don't have help, it's not very successful. And we had tremendous dinner programs. Our naturally 70th anniversary that was co-chaired by Herman Jubert and our son Laterno was extremely successful. We have a bingo every Friday night, with the exception of Good Friday. That is financially stable. And of course, the council opened bell jars, and you know about that at St. Mary's Bazaar. And the bell jars has enabled our council to give away a considerable amount of money in the last 2.5 years. We have grossed over $40,000. A third of your net profit must be given away, and the state will tell you how to spend the other 2/3. Through bingo, dinner, and bell jars, plus the St. Patrick's Bazaar, in the last quarter we gave over $5,000 to St. Patrick's.
To the church.
That's right.
Right.
St. Patrick's Church. So the bell jars has really put us in a good financial position. They also carpeted this room here.
Oh, okay.
They bought a new refrigerator downstairs. We now have a microwave that was donated. The kitchen's now is open up to the Catholic Daughters, where we don't lock the cupboards anymore, and everything is going extremely well.
Mm-hmm.
We put a float in the parade, and like I said, we have donated a lot of money to various organizations. And, whoever comes in, I hope it can continue. I think it's time for a change. I've been there 3 years. You need new blood and new ideas in any organization.
Well, for anybody out there waiting for that bell jar to make a sound or make a lot of noise, well, tell us what a bell jar is, Dick. What's a bell jar, and how does that work?
Well, it's a pull tab game.
It's a pull tab.
You buy a Nevada Club. You have that at the bazaar.
Yeah, but a lot of people out there don't know that. It's a type of gambling, but with lawful gambling. You need a license for it.
Legal,
and it's legal.
Legal gambling. Your license is $25 a year. It's on the base in the calendar year.
Yeah.
All your tickets are licensed.
Yeah.
You must keep your tickets, your winning tickets, for 6 months.
Okay.
At the bazaar when I turn them over to you,
Yeah.
and then and every quarter you got to send a report into the state.
Okay, and remember this, that you don't win it all back, but when you don't, they get it, and they make good use of it, but these donations to other areas, other organizations, and so forth. Knights of Columbus are a charitable organization. And while we're talking about charitable organizations and Knights of Columbus and all that, don't forget the St. Mary's Bazaar, the weekend of the 22nd, 23rd, or 24th, over Memorial Day weekend in Champlain. We're in our 26th or 27th year. Hope you'll all come down to our parade and so forth. We'll have... And we'll see Dick there, yeah, because Dick comes there. Dick's been working there for 10 years plus, and his son, and has helped the St. Mary's Bazaar out as much as anybody, and he's not a parishioner there. But he likes some people who are parishioners there. He likes me, right, cuz?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
No question about it.
A grand night from...
I just like to say, no matter who you are or who the Grand Knight is, you got to have support. And in the past 3 years, I want to thank the people who supported our ventures, bought our tickets to make us financially successful. I want to thank my officers in the past 3 years, all the people who put on dinner committees. I hate to get into names because you're going to miss somebody, but there's a half a dozen key people here that had made my reign a lot easier for me. And I just really want to say that we really appreciate it, and without the support from the public, we couldn't do it.
Well, it's been an honor for Hometown Cable and yours truly, Bob Venn and Calvin on the camera, to be here to talk about the history and the recent history, 70 years of the Knights of Columbus in Rouses Point, New York. And really, I'm a stepchild from this organization, because from this organization, 2366, 2535, I think it is, in Champlain was formed when they left here in '52. Moores from there, from Ellenberg and so forth. They started here with those people, Tom Sabrin and the others, 17 years ago as charter members. And we thank you for that.
My dad was a charter
Your dad,
member.
right? Yeah. And we thank you for all of that. Okay.
Appreciate that.
Okay.
We thank Cable 21 for coming down.
Thank you very much, and we thank you, Stanley, also for talking with us. And pleasure. And Herman Jubert, who was former Grand Knight and presently the secretary, you said?
I'm the treasurer.
Treasurer. Oh, I just the treasurer in the village. And the financial secretary, Arsen Letourneau, and Leo Letourneau, whom we saw and has left for other meetings, other points. Stay tuned, because they're going to have now...
One more thing on this.
One more thing. 110 years ago, the picture on this screen, Father McGivney started the Knights of Columbus. 500 years ago, Columbus himself came to the New World. Your picture here showing that he left Spain and on the way to who knows where, afraid to fall off the end of the flat world. And today, in 1992, they've celebrated here the 70th anniversary, and the Knights of Columbus throughout the world are celebrating Columbus.
That's right. It's the quincentennial of the discovering of America. And starting last October, they have been having various events throughout the country. And even Pope John Paul II has had special masses and everything, thanking the Knights of Columbus and recognizing them. PBS has done a Columbus series on them. The Supreme Council has had essay contests and poster contests. And I believe the U.S. government's even put in a commemorative stamp out in honoring of Columbus. So it has been a very busy year, and one of the culminations I would think of this year is that the annual convention of the Knights of Columbus for the whole United States is going to be held down in New York City, and they're supposed to have a lot of doings down there.
Okay. And that's the way it will end on Hometown Cable, and we're talking right now with Arsene Letourneau. He is the financial secretary of the council and is also one of the two prime movers in getting this whole 70th anniversary party together. He and Herman Joubert did that, got all those pictures together, and you will see more about them as you watch the dinner and the celebration that'll be following now. And thank you much for watching Hometown Cable. Every night, every day at 1:15, 4:30, 8 p.m., midnight, and 8 the following morning, and every Sunday night we try to bring you what's going on here and move around from place to place around the northern part of Clinton County. We hope you enjoy the shows, and if you have any ideas, please let us know, and thanks much for watching.
So? Somebody in the house, they said? Guess when? About 20 minutes ago. Just went
This one don't work.
Okay, put it aside. Sure it's not.
You're going across the point tanker backing in. Smoke is getting pretty thick.
Yeah. Guys, be careful, that's full of ammunition up there. Oh, yeah. Need your ear back.
building. Knocking it down pretty good there now. There's the Champlain Fire Chief. Oh yeah, they're knocking it down really good now. Going pretty good, it's fully involved. Water here. Welcome to Rouses Point. There's the fire chief, two fire chiefs. One from Rouses Point, one from Champlain. Here comes the ambulance. Line they're hooking up. Hey, man. Going pretty good. Assistant chief right here, James LaVade. We got some planes coming up over the back, shooting up over the back here of the garage. Mr. Rivers. Is that it off? No. Cut it off for a second. We're starting to use the deluge gun up there. guys are going down to the river with a portable pump to pump her out of the river. The river's right here behind us, about 25, 30 feet. There's the river right there. Starting to get pretty heavy smoke again. Must be getting it out. Got a little water running overboard here. Now they got that deluge done. I'm gonna hurt somebody with that. Hardly no firemen over there now. Smoke is really getting heavy. Got firemen here with no uniforms on. They're supposed to have uniforms. They're getting a lot of steam now.